Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Dr. Muhammad Salim Iqbal, Deputy Controller Examination, Faisalabad Medical University, Faisalabad, Assistant Professor of Surgery, Certified in Medical Teaching from University of Health Sciences, Lahore. I am here to discuss an important topic, fever in the post-operative patients. But before I start today's discussion, I request you all to please subscribe my channel and press bell icon. Post-operative fever. Fever is an elevation of body temperature that exceeds the normal daily variation and occur in conjunction with an increase in hypothalamic set point, typically greater than 37.5 degrees centigrade. Infectious and non-infectious causes of fever must be distinguished. Non-infectious fever usually occurs within 72 hours of surgery and it is low grade temperature, that is less than 38.9 degrees centigrade or 102 degree Fahrenheit. Infectious fever usually occur after 72 hours of major operation and is caused mainly by underlying infection, and it is usually high grade fever, that is more than 102 degree Fahrenheit. Post-operative fever is known to occur after all types of surgical procedures, irrespective of type of anesthesia. Overall, both abdominal and chest procedures result in highest incidence of post-operative fever. What is pathophysiology of non-infectious post-operative fever? Operations associated with tissue damage and inflammations. These lead to activation of macrophage endothelial cells and reticuloendothelial systems, ultimately leading to release of interleukin 1, interleukin 6, tumor necrosis factor and interferon gamma. These all mediators act on preoptic nucleus of hypothalamus and increase hypothalamic set point. Pathophysiology of infectious fever. Infections, microbial toxins, mediators of inflammation and immune reaction. They stimulate monocytes, macrophages and endothelial cells that release pyrogenic cytokines, interleukin 1, interleukin 6, tumor necrosis factor and interferon gamma. These mediators act on hypothalamic endothelium, causing elevation of set point. This leads to heat conservation and heat production, ultimately causes fever. For better understanding of post-operative fever, it is classified into three main categories: acute fever, fever that occurs in first week, that is first to seventh post-operative day; subacute fever, fever occurs between post-operative week 1 to 4; and delayed fever, fever after more than 4 weeks. Manifestations of fever will be shivering, chills may be alternate to feeling of hot, general malaise, somnolence, increased pulse rate or blood pressure, anorexia and excessive sweating. Now 6 W's of post-operative fever: wind, water, wound, walk, wonder drugs, wonky gland. This is further elaboration of W's of fever. Post-operative fever causes by days. From day 1, wind, that means atelectasis; day 3, water means UTI; day 5, wounds means surgical site infection; day 7, walking means DVT, and in slide it is written that more than 9 or equal to 9 days wonder mean drugs, but drugs can cause fever at any time in post-operative period. Beautiful saying of Brad Henry: a good teacher can inspire hope, ignite the imagination and instill a love of learning. I dedicate it to my mentor, Professor Dr. Zafar Ali Chaudhry. Approach to post-operative fever according to post-operative duration. Post-operative fever 24 to 48 hours after surgery. Most common cause is atelectasis, persistent infection related to surgery in infected area. For example, biliary infection in post-biliary surgery, UTI post-urologic surgery. Other causes may be transfusion reaction, thyroid crisis, malignant hyperthermia. Post-operative fever 48 to 72 hours after surgery, also called as third day fever. It is usually caused by infection related to indwelling device, that is cystitis, UTI, sinusitis, drip site infection phlebitis, hematoma, unresolved atelectasis resulting in pneumonia. Post-operative fever on 5th to 8th day, it is caused usually by wound infection, anastomosis leakage, deep vein thrombosis. Other causes may be antibiotic induced colitis or acalculous cholecystitis. Now little bit about subacute fever, that is on post-operative day 10 or more. It is usually caused by deep infection, that is pelvic or abdominal abscesses, and if abdominal abscess, it could be subhepatic or subphrenic. Then mesh infection. Drugs. Diagnosis of exclusion includes rash and peripheral eosinophilia. Delayed fever after more than 4 weeks. It is caused by skin and soft tissue infections and viral infections. Now little bit about atelectasis. Atelectasis is complete or partial collapse of entire lung or area, that is lobe of lung. It occurs when tiny air sacs alveoli within the lung become deflated or possibly filled with alveolar fluids. Atelectasis is one of the most common respiratory complication after surgery, and it usually causes fever within 48 hours of surgery. Causes of atelectasis are: post-operative patients remain lying in bed, which leads to incomplete expansion and resulting atelectasis. Patient may have poor inspiratory effort due to sedation or pain and may be unable to clear pulmonary secretions that are common following intubation and general anesthesia. Signs and symptoms of atelectasis include tachypnea, dyspnea, cough, decreased breath sounds, crackles, hypoxemia, and dependent infiltrates on chest radiography as shown in radiograph. What is treatment of atelectasis? Early mobilization, semi-recumbent position. It improves expansion of alveoli by preventing pressure from intra-abdominal organs on diaphragm and hence improve functional residual capacity. Then we should increase pulmonary hygiene and postural drainage for patient. Breathing exercises by deep inspiration and incentive spirometry. Chest physiotherapy. Bronchodilators. Continuous positive airway pressure. Bronchoscopy and removal of plug. Second is water, that is UTI. Risk factors for UTIs are length of catheterization, unsterile placement of catheter, female sex, old age, diabetic patient, and history of previous UTIs. Symptom of UTIs include fever, suprapubic or flank pain, costovertebral angle tenderness, and urinary urgency. And we should obtain a urine analysis and urine culture with sensitivity. Empiric treatment should be started, and when the culture report is available, we should start treatment according to culture and sensitivity report. Third W for wound, that is surgical site infection. Surgical site infection is defined as infection that occurs at or near the surgical incision within 30 days of surgery or within 90 days if prosthetic materials have been implanted. Surgical site infection is classified as superficial surgical site infection, that is skin and subcutaneous tissues are involved only. Deep surgical site infection that involves fascia and muscles, and organ or space infection. We have to collect specimen of purulent discharge for culture. Most important pathogens that cause surgical site infections are skin flora, which are Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, and Enterococcus. Fourth W, that is walking, which stands for DVT and pulmonary embolism. Patients at high risk for developing post-operative DVT include those undergoing abdominopelvic surgery, lower extremity orthopedic surgeries, patients with major trauma or spinal cord injuries, patients with cancer, and those patients who are obese. Patients also can have febrile response to pulmonary embolism without signs or symptoms of DVT. Pulmonary embolism can be a cause of sudden death in post-operative patient. Patients with suspected DVT should have Doppler ultrasonogram and started on therapeutic anticoagulation when clinically safe. Fifth W is wonder drug. Medications are most common non-infectious cause of fever in post-operative patients. Different mechanisms are infusion sites inflammation, that is phlebitis, sterile abscess, soft tissue reaction, and some drugs stimulate heat production, for example thyroxine. Some drugs limit heat dissipation, for example atropine, epinephrine. Some drugs alter thermoregulation, for example phenothiazides, antihistamines, and anti-Parkinson drugs. A little bit about wonky glands. Two endocrinologic causes of fever in post-operative patients are adrenal insufficiency and thyrotoxicosis. Adrenal insufficiency manifests as hypotension, hyponatremia, hyperkalemia, hypoglycemia, and fever. Acute adrenal crisis should be managed with bolus dose of glucocorticoids along with crystallite fluids. Thyrotoxicosis manifests as tachycardia, altered mental status, hyper or hypotension, hyperthermia, fever will be greater than 40 degrees centigrade. Management of thyroid storm will be resuscitation, injection paracetamol, beta blockers, then propyl thiouracils or thienamides, and iodine solution. Now just a brief description about evaluation of a patient with post-operative fever. It is important to elicit the timeline associated with fever. Key questions to ask are: evaluation. Initial assessment includes general appearance of patient, GCS, and vital signs to determine how sick patient is. Then airway, breathing, circulatory, disability, and exposure of patient for quick assessment to identify and simultaneously provide appropriate management. Then check patient notes, type of procedure, timing of procedure, are there pre-existing or implanted prosthesis involved, peri-operative antibiotic prophylaxis, intra-operative complication, anesthesia record, patient comorbidities, when did symptoms begin, were there blood products given to patient, a prolonged hospital stay, and last ward round. Next, check patient intake and output and check patient orders. Is the patient being treated with antibiotics or not? Patient receiving deep vein thrombosis prophylaxis or not? System-based assessment of patient should be carried out, and the assessment should include pulmonary, cardiac, gastrointestinal, and urinary system. Sites of infections that are visible, that is skin for bed sores, cellulitis, and vascular assessed sites should be examined carefully. A thorough evaluation of wound site is imperative. We have to ask for pain. Is there a fluctuant mass palpable at wound site? Is there redness present surrounding the incision? Is there any discharge from the wound? What is color and quantity of discharge? In blood test, we have to get a fresh CBC of the patient, especially concentrating on total leukocyte count, C-reactive protein. Then we have to check liver function to rule out liver injury, coagulation parameters, and platelets to rule out disseminated intravascular coagulation, renal functions to rule out kidney injury or electrolyte abnormalities. Then we should monitor glucose level, because high glucose levels points towards septic response if patient is previously diabetic or even in non-diabetic patient. Urine analysis to rule out urinary tract infection. If patient is hypotensive, venous blood gas is needed to measure serum lactate. It will guide fluid resuscitation. Then we should get microbiology, that is cultures, blood, urine, wound and sputum. And if suspecting line sepsis, blood culture from line, remove the line and send the tip of CVP line or IV cannulas to the lab. Then imaging, chest x-rays prove or rule out pneumonic process. Abdominal imaging, ultrasound, CT scans to rule out abdominal collections. Then we should have venous Doppler of legs to rule out deep vein thrombosis. Call to action: watch this video again and again and share link on different WhatsApp groups. Properly evaluate patient with post-operative fever for better management. In my today's lecture, I have tried my level best to describe about causes of post-operative fever, their pathophysiology, their management, and how to evaluate a post-operative patient having complaint of fever. I have prepared my lecture through book Surgical Tutor. If you have any query and you want further details, you can take it from this book. Thank you audience for your careful listening. Stay connected through my accounts. Stay blessed. Take care. Allah Hafiz.